Detective James Wilson stood at the gates of Baskerville Manor, his coat collar turned up against the cold winter wind. The old house looked even more haunting in the evening fog, its windows like dark eyes staring back at him. A week ago, Lord Charles Baskerville had been found dead in the manor's garden. The locals whispered about the curse, a giant black hound that had haunted the Baskerville family for generations. But Wilson didn't believe in curses. He believed in facts. "Welcome, Detective," said John Barrymore, the butler, opening the heavy wooden door. "The family is waiting in the library." Inside, Wilson met Henry Baskerville, Charles's nephew and new heir to the estate, along with Dr. Mortimer, the family doctor, and Elizabeth Baskerville, Charles's widow. "Tell me about the night Lord Charles died," Wilson said, taking out his notebook. "Charles was taking his usual evening walk in the garden," Elizabeth began, her hands shaking as she held her teacup. "When he didn't return for dinner, we searched for him. Dr. Mortimer found him near the old yew tree. Heart attack, according to the medical report," Dr. Mortimer added. But what, doctor?" The expression on his face. Pure terror. And there were huge paw prints around the body. Wilson spent the next days investigating. He discovered that Elizabeth stood to inherit a large insurance policy, that Dr. Mortimer had gambling debts, and that even Barrymore had been caught stealing from the family. But something else caught his attention, a receipt for black paint and industrial-grade speakers in Henry's coat pocket. On the third night, Wilson hid near the yew tree. As fog rolled in, he heard it a deep, terrifying howl. Then he saw it a massive, black shape moving through the mist. But Wilson smiled. He'd noticed the thin wires running through the grass and the carefully hidden speakers in the trees. The hound was impressive, a mechanical puppet painted with phosphorescent paint to glow in the dark, controlled remotely. "That's enough, Mr. Henry," Wilson called out, switching on his flashlight. "Or should I say, the new hound of the Baskervilles." Henry emerged from behind a hedge, a remote control in his hand. "How did you know?" "The paint receipt was my first clue. Then I noticed the speaker wires. You created a modern version of the family legend. Scared your uncle to death with your mechanical hound so you could inherit early. Uncle Charles was going to change his will. He'd discovered I'd been stealing from the estate. I couldn't let him cut me off." The next day, as Henry was led away by the police, Wilson looked back at Baskerville Manor. The curse of the hound was finally broken, not by silver bullets or ancient rituals, but by good old-fashioned detective work. "No hounds here anymore," Wilson said to himself, "just a man who let greed turn him into a monster." The fog began to lift from Baskerville Manor, and with it, the shadow of an ancient family curse. Sometimes, Wilson reflected, the real monsters weren't the supernatural beasts of legend, but the darkness that lurked in human hearts. As he walked away, his job complete, a distant howl echoed across the moors. Wilson didn't turn back. He knew it was just the wind, or was it?